Maybe somebody told you that you cared too much. Have you been giving up your power like that? Maybe someone told you that you are too sensitive. Maybe lots of people have told you exactly who they think you are. Perhaps they are correct. Perhaps you have exhausted yourself in your efforts to be who they think you should be. Have you been told that you're too sensitive? Sometimes we give ourselves away to fear. Highly sensitive people are often vulnerable to fear. Or maybe fear caused us to be highly sensitive. Either way, there is some work that needs to be done. We discover tools that help us to put our environment into an understandable context. There is a wisdom deeper than our bones, which guides us in our tool making. First, we must sit with our ancestors and understand the pre-existing tools. Maybe we do not have to reinvent the wheel. Knowing the construction of a wheel, now we must build our own. Most of us know relatively nothing about how things work and how to build things. Some of us are coming to understand how misaligned we have been. What is it like to come into a power that we have never known? What is it like to receive a new programming? Are we capable of redemption from our shame-based identities? Is neuroplasticity really a thing? Can our epigenetic trauma be unwound and rewrapped? Recovery, you say? We can't recover what we never had. The situation appears bleak. Many of us are searching for signs of life. This is a difficult thing to witness, especially if you are highly sensitive. If you are still with us in this hell realm, then you must still have a mission. You have assignments to meet. We are searching for signs of life. There's a search for 12, a drive toward completion. The search for 12 is guided by the same layered intelligence which regulates our endocrine systems. How do we rest in that layered intelligence? Can a more natural wisdom be restored to us? Are we separate from our autonomic functions? It's not personal. It's love. After layer upon layer of our ego's deconstruction, we may come to understand that there is only one enemy, and that enemy is me, this particular manifestation of consciousness that I like to call I, Trav. Suffering seems to exist in the gap between us and them, you and I. Suffering is an illusion. There is no separation, no distance. Suffering is the illusion of separateness from God and one another. Forgiveness destroys the illusion of separateness. Love your enemies. Pray for those who hurt you. Deep calls to deep. Floor of the world. This titanic monument, drawn to descend. Know those depths again. We see ourselves in you. We can't help but return to the wreckage. At the risk of our own lives, we return to the depths. We believed ourselves to be separate from God. We considered ourselves briefly as separate, and we forgot our true nature. One. We dance in this temporal dream, isolated individuals remembering unity. We are being remembered as we see the one in an other, one in a brother. Now you know I see the light. You know I see that light. Now you know I see that light in you. Labor and the expression of worth. The one is remembered in us as we assemble in love. We are in communion wherever two or more are gathered. The sacred nature of being is in our midst. we choose this path as we break the bondage of fear. We are aligned with light. We are light. There is nothing now can separate us from our true home in this center. No man can own us here. We are fearless now as a matter of practice. Practice we will. For the darkness will try to overcome you, young Skywalker. But that darkness no longer has any power. You are only light, and this is of your choosing. Fear is an illusion. See through it now, the only moment there ever was. First cause. We love because we were loved first. We were exhausted, we were spent, and then we said a prayer. God, I don't know if you are even real, but if you are, you save this life, God, you can have it. What does revolution look like once we are relieved of our accusational finger pointing? Many of us who were bound as children are now bound to be free. We honor our ancestors with the truth. We trust the sacred nature of being as we ask our descendants to forgive us. We rise up from the depths, born again, labor and the expression of worth. You may be succeeding even as you are failing in the eyes of others. It's a Christ thing. Love is incarnated, love is crucified, deeper love is born, like a seed that becomes a great tree. Honesty brings out the truth about our relationships. Honesty is a catalyst which accelerates the relational process. Dishonest relationships become hurtful control mechanisms. Being honest moves us through our dead-end relationships, labor, and the expression of worth. Grace, the one ineffable formlessness which unifies us through layered dimensions. That which draws us into communion, even as we participate in these small-minded hell realms of our own creation. Labor and the expression of worth. We are very grateful that you're listening to this programming. It really is coming to a place now where I feel this educational material that I've promised to bring forth is now becoming more pointed, hopefully helpful to those people who are also rising up from their own dark stories. There's one story of us all rising up. May the words and the music bless you and help in your freedom process. Travelin' Trav is a singer, songwriter, poet, essayist, metaphysical therapist, teacher, healer, father, and an advocate for the homeless and neurodivergent. He is an encourager, a deeply flawed human being, and a somewhat reluctant, yet grateful, follower of the one that we have called Jesus. Trav's working practice is now an integration of his diverse career experiences, which includes time in the military, police, academia, and physical therapy. His personal journey to overcome genetically inherited trauma makes him an expert on mental health issues and trauma recovery. Humanity is making the leap into the non-dual. We are moving beyond the binary into a more fluid state. This is evident in our most recent explorations of gender identification. In the depths of Christ, there is no male or female. Travelin' Trav is developing educational materials which encourage the alignment of our rational and mystical senses. These educational tools will help us to manage this species-wide transition in our consciousness. Together, we are developing a new language to describe this caramelized dystopian world in which we live. Because we are stumbling toward our next evolutionary threshold, we must learn to both sing the blues and transcend the oppression that inspired the blues in the first place. We rise above our tendency to manifest as either the oppressed or the oppressors. Labor and the Expression of Worth is Trav's compassionate philosophical container which creates the necessary inner space to hold multiple perspectives simultaneously. Labor and the Expression of Worth is a context in which we may align our work with one another around our deepest common values. We must educate, strengthen, and encourage one another. Strengthening a tribe member deepens a tribe. Deep tribes can feed the world. It is essential that the consciousness level of our species is deepened. We need a new perspective from which to solve the diverse and many problems that humanity has created for itself. In order to raise our consciousness, we must encourage deep communication between the generations. Trav is reaching out to the generations who came before him and after him. Thank you for supporting Travel and Trav by contributing monthly through Patreon. Every little bit helps. May we discover our deepest common values together and align our efforts appropriately. The future of our species depends on it. Strengthening a tribe member deepens a tribe. Depth tribes feed the world. Sincerely, Travis Irwin.